Hello, everybody, and welcome to the living room. Wolf, it's great to see you. And, we're going to start the locker room when camp starts.
Luch, how are you, first of all? How are you, my dear friend, huh?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, and how you doing?
I'm doing just fine, Chaluch. You know, the nice thing about it is this is how we get together so often. You know, I mean, it's just like, it's kind of weird, a little different, isn't it?
You know what? Everybody comes up to me and asks me, why you call me Chaluch?
Oh.
And it started with the Pope of Greenwich Village years and years ago when we watched that movie together. And I was Mickey Rourke, you were Eric Roberts, and
I wanted to be Mickey Rourke. Nobody wants to be Eric Roberts. He was a weasel.
Yeah.
But you think about this, Chaluch, this is how it started. Remember, you were sick. It's the off season. So I got some bonbons that came on over, and we watched the movie in the off season because it was on. It was the Pope of Greenwich Village, right. Mickey Rourke, as you said, Eric Roberts. But the thing that was interesting about it was, of course, Eric Roberts referred to Mickey Rourke. His name was Charlie.
Yeah.
Right? But he called him Chaluch, which was slang for Charlie.
Yeah.
Exactly. So now you got to understand that my grandpa Palmer, you know, a very godly man, great dude, right? He used to refer to us grandkids all as Charlies instead of saying, "Hey, buddy, come here," because, you know, there were so many grandkids. It's like, you're going to remember all the kids' names, right? So he'd say, "Hey, Charlie, come here." So the two of them coming together just came out one time. And I remember on air, I don't know, a decade ago, something like that, longer, I said, "Hey, Chaluch." Because, you know, it was just, we loved that movie so much. We were laughing about it, always quoting it, you know, even during the, you know, in some of the hard times of season and stuff, you quoted the movie.
Right. Yeah. And, you know, Eric Roberts was a good teammate. And then we're
nice segue. What a segue.
We're talking about teammates. Both of us, Keith Willis, who was assistant head coach of the Edinburgh Scotsman, he got us on with his players in a Zoom call, and you and I both touched on what it means to be a great teammate. And the best thing you can be is be a great teammate, not the most valuable player, not the hardest hitter, but the best teammate. And the best teammates are real good at accountability, encouragement, and competition.
Right. Those are the three essential elements, Chaluch. You look at it, okay? So if I look at this and I say to myself, okay, number one, coming to the team, I as a rookie, I as a veteran, these are the ways we grow together. What are the three best characteristics as you just laid out? And of course, you started off with accountability. What does accountability mean when you're one of the guys in the room, whether it's a position room or the big meeting room, whether you're a veteran, whether you're a rookie?
Yeah, I remember when my first start, I looked around the room. Webby, Larry Brown, John Cole, Steve Corson, and you. You started your second year, but I didn't start till I started a couple games my second year. And I remember thinking, I'm accountable to these guys, and I don't want to screw up. I don't want to. I don't want, you know. When we played the LA Rams, Larry Brown got hurt, and I came in the huddle, and you know, everybody was looking at me, and I was saying, "Okay, I'm the weak link. I'm the weak link." And
exactly.
And so, but I you know, I played intense. And I played not so bad, and but it was accountability where we are accountability. We're accountable to the guy next to us, and then we have to develop, and you know, and when you're blocking for Terry Bradshaw and Franco Harris, you know, you gotta be good.
Absolutely. George, let me expand on this and throw this out to you, okay? Tell me what it means to be dependable, on time, getting your work done. Remember Coach Knoll standing up there and telling us, get in, get your work done. So we're talking about the total fabric, not just in stadiums, as Mike Tomlin likes to say, but the practice field, in the classroom, off the field, the responsibility of being accountable to each other off the field. Go through that.
Wolf, when I got to practice early, and I thought I was early, and I was going to go into the weight room and work out. Right. And Webby, Bubba Brown, John Kolb, and Steve Corson were already in there, and they were all sweated up. And I said, "What time do you guys get in here?" And they said about an hour and a half before the first meeting. And so I said, "Okay, I'm gonna follow those guys." And then when I was leaving the practice field, I walked by the offensive line meeting room, and they were watching film. And I said, "Okay, I got to watch film with them." And that's the way you become dependable. You follow the guys that set the tone: Colby, Webby, and Larry Brown, right, and Steve Corson, and then you follow those guys, and you try to be like them.
So then let me ask you this: if I say you have to be responsible to the man on your left, the man on your right, the guy ahead of you, the guy behind you, that's talking about and really becoming and I know this does sound a little bit cheesy at times, but it's all about the we, is it not that?
Right. Yeah. And, you don't want to be the weak link.
Right.
You don't want to be the weak link. And number one, you want to work your butt off to get prepared for the game, because, the work ethic, we found out as a Pittsburgh Steeler, the work ethic is the most important, and the accountability, yes, and the dependability, and that's what we found out, and we wanted to be that way, and we wanted to be like Webby, we wanted to be like Bubba Brown, we wanted to be like Colby, and we wanted to be like Sam Davis, and that's how we developed.
As a very famous coach once told me on the side, he said, "There's no I in the word team, but there's two I's in the word idiot. Don't be one." And that's the truth. You are responsible for your conduct to your other teammates and with your other teammates, in developing this we, so I think good. I like that. Now, let me kick you over to be encouraging. Now, it's not about being cheerleaders in the room and stuff like that, but let's face it, Chaluch, life goes on, and life can be tough as dramas unfold. Personal things unfold during an NFL season. I often say that each NFL season is a journey unto itself, and right, a start and an end. And the fact is, a lot of things happen behind the scenes. Guys' personal lives, marriages are in the upswing, downswing. You lose people in your life. You lose. There's things that happen. You know what I mean? No one knew when Aaron Smith was going through the turmoil with his son in the hospital. Right. Nobody knew that until after the game, when Aaron had not practiced all week, hadn't been even around. He'd been in the hospital with his son all week long, and then he comes out, plays the game, and then goes back to the hospital. Nobody knew that until afterwards. And these are the things where encouragement becomes a big issue amongst the teammates, does it not?
Yeah, well, you know what? You are encouraged. I remember Larry Brown, when my first start, he was hurt, and he was watching me. And every time I came off the field, he said, "Great job, Tunch. Great job, Tunch. Great job, Tunch." And I remember when you had 3 holding penalties in one game, and Webby encouraged you. Webby encouraged you. Mike Webster, the Hall of Fame center, encouraged you.
Because F1, I got to tell the truth. It was 4, not 3. But you put me on the spot here, man. This is just really wrong. But the funny part was, Webby had 4 on the Monday Night Football game against right, Oakland, if you remember. So right, I tied him for the club record. So he was encouraged. He's like, "Hey, I've already done it. You just tied me." But the fact of the matter was, yes, he's a great encourager. He was one of those guys that would bring to you not just, saying, come on, shake it out and stuff like that. But it helped you through it. How do you get better? And then you work the technique and you do that and you get that advice from older guys.
Yeah.
So encouragers are the guys that kind of, tell me about adders, subtractors, multipliers, and dividers in the locker room. You talk about this a lot.
Yeah, multipliers, adders, subtractors, and dividers. Dividers are divide the team. Subtractors are no good, but multipliers and adders. Well, Joe Green was a true multiplier.
Yes.
And, I went against Joe Green because I played center early in my career.
Right.
And I practiced against him every day, and he would kick my butt. And then one of the days, but
hey, you weren't alone in that one, buddy.
Yeah, he was a Hall of Famer, and I was just a rook, 245 pounds.
All I want you to understand is you were not alone in getting your butt kicked by Joe Green. We all had a hand in the pile and getting our butts kicked.
But, midway through the season, Joe said, Tunch, don't leave your hands out there. Jam them and retract and jam them. And I started doing that. And one day late in the season, he said, Tunch, you're getting better. You're going to be a good ball player. And he said, you're getting better every day. I couldn't wait to get home and call my dad. I said, Joe Green's told me I got better. Joe Green's telling me I got better. But one of the things is, Joe, he was a multiplier. He was a mentor. He was an encourager. He was, and practicing against him, games were easy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: what about an adder? What does an adder do?
Yeah, well,
He's
adder,
an energy bringer, is he not?
Yeah. The multipliers make everybody around them better. Joe Green was a multiplier, and we played. All those guys. Larry Brown.
Let me throw you one out, modern era. Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me what you think about this. If I said, if you want a picture of an adder, maybe not the best player in his room, in his position, on his side of the ball, but a guy who brings energy, what about having a conversation with Art Moats? What would you say?
Art Moats is so positive. He brings, high tide floats all boats, and that he's a high tide. Yeah.
Yes.
And he is a great guy, and we work with him in broadcasting, and so he is so much fun. But I want to go back to when we were rookies and second-year players. All those guys, Larry Brown, John Kolb, Webby, they were all multipliers. They were all encouragers. They were all, they encouraged us. And, Donnie Shell, John Stallwood.
Right.
When in '83, my first year as starter, I partially tore my rotator cuff. And and I was, it was hurting me. And the night before the game, John Stallworth and Donnie Shell came into our room. You were there. Right. You were my roommate.
Right.
And they prayed over me. They laid hands on my shoulder and prayed over me. And, that was so encouraging. And, that was so cool that they prayed for me. And then they left. And that was the most encouraging thing I had happened to me in the first 4 years. Well, Joe Green was encouraging to me, but
there's a number of circumstances that arise, like you're just talking about now, and that's the key. One of the keys is it's so very encouraging. Okay, so let me jump ahead now and give you the third element that I think is important about being competitive. And let me set the table with this, because one of the finest examples that I can ever come up with about being competitive, because you want to make each other better. Football is all about being the best you can be. It's fine about being encouraging, it's fine about being accountable, but it also is summarized in being competitive with each other. And I think back to when 1982, when an undrafted rookie by the name of Keith Willis was signed by the Steelers. You were just moving in the starting lineup, and essentially you two banged heads for the next decade, 3 times a week, full pads, pushing each other to be your very best. And I think it's one of the finest examples of iron sharpening iron.
Yeah, Proverbs 27:17, as iron sharpens iron, so shall one man sharpen another.
Speaking the truth.
And you know what? Keith was so low to the ground.
Right.
And Keith was so good. I think his second year he had 14 sacks.
Yes.
Yeah, and he was a great pass rusher, and he was so competitive, and I was so competitive, and we wanted to win. So we went at it, tooth and nail, every play, no plays off. Every play we went after it. And, games were easy after practice with Keith. And we used to call him Skippy.
Right.
Yeah, because he dressed like a prepper.
Did you bring that up in the Edinburgh meeting? Because I busted him on it.
I called him Skip, and he said, "You called me Skippy," and I said, "Well, yeah, because But Keith Willis was a great player, and it's so cool that we competed so hard and so thorough. But then after practice, we would hug each other.
Right. And this is the key, Chaluch. This is what I love about this example, because it's real time. You guys banged heads for a decade. You guys were warm-up partners, before games. You were constantly sharpening the sword, iron sharpening iron against each other. Think about it. When you left the Steelers, when your tenure, Keith Willis' tenure left, you were a 2-time Pro Bowler. Keith was, at that time, the all-time Steelers sack record holder. That says something. That's about being competitive. That's a summarize. You summarize it and say, you know what? You were accountable to each other. You kept showing up day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. You also were encouraging to each other. I remember, sometimes you get a little heated, in one-on-ones, individual, team, all those sorts of things. But it was always about with proper respect and so forth. But then you were competitive, and all those elements came together, and that's the essence of a team. That really, to me, says it all. And I want to wrap this up with one last thing, because it was something that you observed when we were on the plane and we were coming back. This is in our broadcasting years. And this was back around the Super Bowl years with Bill Cowher and Troy Polamalu and James Ferrier and Casey Hampton. And I remember, of course, you and we're as far back as you can go in the plane. We're on convict row.
Yeah, we're the back row.
Any further back and we're on the tail wing, you know what I mean? So we're sitting in the back and we're watching after a game, coming back after a game, and you can see James Ferrier, Casey Hampton, Troy, and all these other guys. They start to congregate in the aisle like we used to back in the day, talking about the old, throwing the war stories out post game and stuff like that, like you, me, Dunny, and Webby, and back in the day. So we're sitting there, and it was funny because we're sitting there, we're both watching these guys hang around. They're kind of poking each other and laughing and joking, teasing, that sort of thing. But you could see the brotherhood that only a grinding year long of blood, sweat, and tears brings a bonding agent. And you turned to me and you said, "Look, you see what's going on?" I said, "Yeah." I go, "That's pretty cool." And he goes, "You know what? You know why these guys are so good? They love each other."
Yeah.
And that's truly the bonding agent that brings greatness to a team. When you think about Jesus said, "Hey, do 2 things. All right. Love God and love your neighbor." Right. And your neighbor is your teammate. Yeah. You know what I mean? And to me, that's one of the great bonding agents that comes about for a great team.
That's what's special about football. When you play 6 months with 45 guys or 53 guys, you laugh together, you cry together, you win together, you lose together, you bleed together, and there is a bond that builds from that camaraderie. And when you even if you don't talk to someone for a long time, we saw the anniversary of the last Super Bowl in the 70s, and we went and saw Lauren Tays, Ray Penny, Russell Davis, and it was Dirk Winston, and we were hugging all.
Greg Hawthorne was there, and yeah. Because there is that bonding agent,
Right.
Chaluch, you know?
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing is every locker room and every huddle comes in all shapes, sizes, and colors. Doesn't matter. I mean, there's different backgrounds from across, ocean to ocean of this great country. And all these guys come together and we have this brotherhood of football. And it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and the 6 weeks of training camp, but they're not going to, their training camp, no 2-a-days. And what do you think there's going to be 2 preseason games?
Well, officially, from what I understand, they cut it down to 2, 1 home, 1 away, which I still haven't wrapped my brain around the fact of what in the world, how did you not start in Latrobe? Think about it, 54 straight years of landing in Latrobe and starting a journey forward. All 6 of the Lombardi trophies have come from guys planted in Latrobe. Now you got 2 games, and here's what the preseason games mean to us.
Yeah, well, you mean you're making a team.
Well, not only that, Chaluch, but it meant, hey, you get to the preseason games, you got air conditioning.
Yeah.
we got room service, baby. We have non-horsehair stuffed mattresses. How's that? Huh?
Yeah, and I wasn't paying attention. I was more paranoid about getting cut.
Because the beautiful thing was you got to hit somebody else. That was cool.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, because we got to wrap this up here in just a moment. But the important question I want to ask you: 2 preseason games. Now you've lost all the virtual off season. 900 snaps worth, as Mike Tomlin said, to virtual off season. You losing mini camps, OTAs, all that stuff. You are landing in Pittsburgh. You might have a week run up for the rookies getting in early. How important, and what do you think the 2 preseason games are going to look like? Seems to me the rookies got to take almost all the snaps to see who can play.
Yeah. I'm down with that. What's going to be tough for first year head coaches? Because you don't have any mini camps. You don't have any OTAs, and it's going to be tough. But veteran coaches who have been there for a long time, like Mike, will weather the storm better. And Mike's a great coach, and
absolutely,
players love him. I would have loved to play for Mike.
No question.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to me to see the dispersal of reps, because you've got to find out who can play amongst these young bucks. It's not about you got to groove your vets, but at the same time you got to find out who these guys are that can play. In our day, you had 6-7 weeks of Latrobe, right?
Yeah.
You had 2 practices a day. You had a lot of reps for guys the guys like Jerry Osavsky. Those diamonds in the rough, those guys that keep showing up day after day when the attrition starts pulling guys out of the lineup and out of the practices, those guys that show up day after day that are tougher than woodpecker lips, as you like to say.
Yeah.
All right? I wonder, do we see any more of that? I don't know.
It's going to be interesting. The first game, I play all the rookies.
Yeah.
The second game, I play the first half, the veterans, the starters, and then put the rookies in the second half. It's going to be tough. It's going to be, it's going to be tough for coaches. But I wouldn't mind being in training camp now, because it's like a spa.
Oh, I hear you. My last thought before we wrap this up, Chaluch, is I might even shut that down closer to a quarter, because I have Ben and I got a number of guys that I know are solid. I got to find out, can the Kevin Dotsons play? Can Alex Highsmith and Chase Claypool, all these guys, you got to find out, and they got to get the preponderance of reps, because I know that Ben can pull it together, and I know what Ben can do. And I'm excited for this season. I think it's going to be great.
I think
it's great to be with you, my friend.
Yeah. So long, and God bless everybody. Thank you for joining us. He's Wolf, I'm Tunch, and we were excited when training camp starts, so we could do the 2-hour show every day.
So we won't be in the living room anymore. We'll be in the locker room.
We'll be in the locker room. God bless you guys.